Hello, students. Welcome to the online lecture series of mechanical measurements. So, in the previous class, we have studied about the hysteresis, the meaning of hysteresis, and the calibration. We have studied the different types of measuring errors. Okay, in that errors, we have studied systematic error and random error. Then we have studied the thread measuring instruments. One is bench micrometer and then thread gauge micrometer we have studied. Then at last we have studied the Breville protector. In today's session, we will learn the gauges. So what do you mean by gauges and what are the different types of gauges are present? So first type of gauge is gauge plug gauge, and then we'll study the ring gauge and finally the snap gauge. And we'll learn about the surface roughness test. Okay, so the instrument which we'll use is Taliser's roughness tester here, and then we'll study the coordinate measuring machine, that is CMM. So let us study now what do you mean by gauge. So they are essential tools. Okay, the gauges are essential tools which are used during the quality control in the factories and even in the manufacturing companies. Okay, so these tools are used by the mechanics, inspectors, and then manufacturing engineers. Okay, in order to decide whether to go with the product or no. So that is, we call it as a go or no go decision. Okay, so whenever an inspector inspects an component, mechanical component, whether it is a shaft or any other component with a hole or any mating parts, okay, that components has to fall within the specified dimensional tolerances. Okay, so if it doesn't falls under the specified dimensional tolerances, then the object will be rejected. Okay, so for that type of decisions, these gauges are used. The gauging process is designed to allow accurate assessment. So the gauges are involved in the process where the accurate assessment is being done. Okay, so where we will not use any additional or more sophisticated and even the expensive measuring instruments. So we'll never use that type of sophisticated instrument or process for the bulk components. Okay, so what happens in the manufacturing industries, there are thousands or thousands of components to be inspected. So at that time, what happens? We cannot use the sophisticated instruments or very advanced instruments for measuring of the tolerances. So at that time, what we'll do, we use the gauges, okay, which is very convenient and very easy to use, and that will save the time. Okay, so these are the gauges. Let us study the plug gauge. So the first type of gauge is plug gauge. The figure shows the plug gauge. Okay, sometimes these gauges are called as pin gauges. Why we call it as a pin gauge? Because we insert it inside a hole. Okay, we plug it inside a hole, so we call it as a plug gauge, or sometimes it can also be called as a pin gauge. So these pin gauge are the metrology tool. Okay, so we use it for the gauging the inside diameter of a hole, to check the inside diameter of a hole. Okay, so there are different types of mechanical components with the hole. Okay, for assessing that or for checking that inside diameter, we make use of this plug gauge. Okay, so that holes may be drilled holes or machined holes. Okay, in a part or a component or even a in a assembly also. Okay, so what happens in the production operations, we manufacture very large volume of parts. Okay, so for assessing these large volume of parts, we cannot use the sophisticated instruments. Instead of that instruments, we make use of this plug gauge, okay, which is very simple and convenient to check the hole. Okay, so this is how the plug gauge looks in a schematic representation. It has a two ends. One is go and another end is no go. So that we call it as a double-ended, and one which is shown on the right side, that is a progressive. So these are used for checking holes. As I already said you, the plug gauges are used for checking the holes. It is both double-ended, okay, which is having the two cylindrical ends. If you observe here, we have two cylindrical ends. Okay, this is left and this is right one. The ends are hardened. Okay, they are undergone heat treatment process. Okay, and they are accurately finished by grinding. Okay, by using the grinding wheels, they are being grinded. Okay, so one end is go end and another end is no go end. Okay, so the go end the dia of the no go end is equal to the lower limit of the hole. Okay, so the standard hole which we prefer, so that will have the lower limit and upper limit. Okay, so that is we call it as a tolerance. Okay, the permissible deviations which we require. Okay, so the go end, if you observe the go end dia, that is equal to the lower limit size of the hole. Okay, so less than this, it's not permissible. Next, no go end. Okay, no go end dia is equals to the upper limit size of the hole. Okay, so more than this dia, it's not permissible. So that is where we call it as a lower limit size and upper limit size. Condition 1. Let us see the two scenarios how these plug gauges are utilized. Okay, the first scenario where the size of the dia of this hole, okay, the component which we are inspecting, if that hole, okay, that component's hole, if it is in the limits, okay, if it is in the tolerance, okay, if it is in the limits, then the go end, we have a go end, right? It should go inside the hole. Okay, this go end should penetrate inside the hole, and no go should not go inside the hole. Okay, so second scenario or a condition where if the size of the hole, that is dia of the hole, is not which is not in the limits, which is not falling within the limits, then what happens? The go does not penetrate. Okay, if go does not penetrate, the hole or the dia of the hole is undersized. The size is small. We conclude the size is small. If no go penetrates the hole, okay, if no go penetrates the hole, then we call it as the dia oversized. The dia of the hole is oversized. This is how the plug gauge are utilized. If this is the condition, if the hole size is not within the limits, then the component is rejected. Let us learn the ring gauge. So the ring gauge looks like this. Okay, it has a hole. Okay, on the periphery it is knurled. Okay, These ring gauges are used for checking the diameter of the shaft. Okay, so these ring gauges have the central hole. Okay, and they are accurately finished by grinding and lapping after the heat treatment, that is hardening. Okay, the periphery, the peripheral, if you see here the sides of this ring, they are having some pattern here for the gripping purpose. So that we call it as a knurling. Okay, so the peripheral of this is knurled. The ring is both go type and no go type. Go ring is made up of lower limit size of the shaft. Okay, and no go ring is made up of upper limit size of the shaft. Okay, so if go goes inside, if go goes over the shaft, then the shaft is under the lower limit size. If no go gauge ring doesn't passes over the uh, shaft, then we call it as a under the upper limit size. So that is we call it as a for correct size of the shaft, go will pass through the shaft. Yes, the go ring will pass, whereas the no go will not pass. For incorrect size of the shaft, it will be opposite. Go will not pass and no go will pass. So at that time, what we'll say, the the dimension of that shaft is out of the dimension, that is permissible dimension. Next, we'll study the snap gauge. So this is how the snap gauge looks. The schematic representation of the snap gauge is as shown in the figure. Okay, it consists of two ends. One is go end, another end is no go. This is double ended, and the right side it is progressive type. So these snap gauges are used for gauging the shaft. Okay, they are utilized for gauging the shaft. Okay, these snap gauges can be used for both cylindrical parts or non-cylindrical parts. Cylindrical parts, for example, shafts. For non-cylindrical parts, we can take any rectangular component. Okay, go snap gauges is in the size corresponding to the higher limit of the shaft. Yes, okay, the go snap gauge, see this is the go end of the snap gauge, it is having the size corresponding to the higher limit of the shaft, and whereas the no go, it has a size corresponding to the lower limit of the shaft. So this is all about the snap gauge. Now let us learn the surface roughness testing. Okay, for surface roughness testing, we utilize TaliSurf roughness tester. So this is how the TaliSurf roughness tester looks. If you observe here, the TaliSurf roughness tester consists of a E-frame, okay, and coils at the each end. It consists of coil at the each end, A, B on the left side, AC at the right side. And it consists of a skid, okay, for the movement of this tester, and the pattern of the surface of the object is shown here, and it consists of an armature and a stylus. So this is all about the construction of TaliSurf roughness tester. This TaliSurf roughness tester works on the electronic principle. Okay. This TALISURF roughness tester consists an electronic means which is exact and high accurate than different types of surface meter. Okay, so there are different types of surface testers are available in the market. Okay, these TALISURF roughness testers are more accurate and highly precise when compared to other types of surface meters or surface measurements. If you observe here, the TALISURF roughness tester consists of sharply pointed diamond stylus. Okay, this is what the stylus is. It is diamond shaped, okay, and sharp. The tip of this stylus, it is made up of 0.02 millimeter tip. The radius of this is of 0.02. The stylus point out the profile of the surface. Yes, the stylus follows the pattern of the surface. Any deflection of these stylus, okay, will have the deflection in the current. Okay, so any deflection of a stylus is converted into electric current. It consists of a stamping which is E-shaped. Okay, the both ends of this stamping have the coils, and it consists of armature connected to stylus. This armature is fixed. This fixed armature causes any vibration of stylus. Okay, any vibration in the stylus will produce an air gap. Okay, this air gap, by this the current passing from a coil get changed. So because of the air gap, the current in the coil will change. Due to this, okay, the amplitude of the current output gets demodulated. Okay, so this happens because the discontinued current passing through the measurement of surface is given by the electronic system passing in it. Let us study the coordinate measuring machine, that is CMM. This is how the CMM looks. A coordinate measuring machine is a device that measures the geometrical characteristics of any object. Okay, how these measures, how these CMM measures? These CMM measures by creating the district point. It will create a district point on the surface of an object with the help of a probe. The various types of probes are mechanical, optical, laser, or even it make use of white light. Depending upon the machine, the probe position may be manually controlled. Okay, it can be manually controlled by an operator, or it may be controlled by an computer, so that we call it as a computer control. CMM types, okay, are of different types. Here we'll study a particular type in which the probe's position, okay, in terms of its displacement from a reference point. Here the CMM positions the probe, okay, based on the displacement from the reference position. The CMM will have the reference position. From that reference position, the probe's position will be decided. The CMM works on the Cartesian coordinate system. So that is X, Y, Z axis. In addition to the moving the probe along the X, Y, Z, it can have the movement along the angles also. The CMM consists of a bridge, okay, a 3D bridge, which allows the probe in the move in the x-axis, y-axis, and even in the z-axis. So these are axes which are orthogonal to each other. That means they are exactly 90 degree with each other. Each axis has a sensor, okay, which monitors the position of the probe. The axis which we have here, x, y, z, it consists of an sensor that will sense the position of the probe, okay, which will make use of micrometer, which is precise. When the probe contracts, that is, when it detects any particular location on the object, okay, the machine samples the three position sensors. The three position sensors will be activated, which measures the location of one point on the object's surface. And these points are converted into three-dimensional vector and the measurements are taken. This process is several times repeated, okay, and a point cloud is developed, which describes the surface area of interest. A common use of CMM in manufacturing and assembly process is to test a part. Okay, we will test a part or assembly against the design intent. So we'll test whether the part is manufactured according to the design. In such applications, point clouds are generated, which are analyzed. How they are analyzed? By algorithms. And these algorithms are converted into the features. That is where we call it as a construction of features. These points are collected by using a probe that is positioned manually by an operator or automatically. That is, we call it as a DCC, direct computer control. The DCC MCCs, CMMs can be programmed to repeatedly measure identical parts, and thus an automated CMM is a specialized form of industrial robot. So these CMMs, they are a type of specialized industrial robot. Thank you.